Well, welcome to the aftermath. And this is the He Said, She Said segment. We're going to talk about Dr. Leanne Kanzler and her episode. And I am your co host, Mick, the Doctor of Digital, and a co host, Kindra, the awesome legislative tiger. How are you doing today, Kindra?
I'm good. You know what? I just remembered I forgot to put that title behind my name, and we had talked about that last time. So I'm really going to have to make sure I label myself that way.
Well, if you forgot to do that, I will still label you that way because you're my hero. So I'll at least
Oh,
say it. And then for next time, we can get that. But that sounds awesome. We've got some ideas on Leanne, and we wanted to give some thoughts on it, she had said. So one of the things she had said is that mostly men are victims of parental alienation. However, we got Kindra here, and I know people who are also women and also have suffered this. So, I mean, I think this is something we want to point out. It's the craziness of the system itself, and there is no rhyme nor reason, and it really is not confined to any one specific person.
no, I agree with that, Mick. And actually, I wanted to expand on that a little bit further, where,
Sure.
Leanne was from Australia or is from Australia.
Hmm.
And when we're talking about it's a worldwide problem, she counsels people, not only just men and women, but from Dubai, India, Pakistan, and she's seen it everywhere.
And I was going to point that out as well too, because that is a good point that there is cultural and differences depending on the legal system. And that was one of the questions that I had as well too. Are there differences between different cultures and legal systems and how to counsel people? And that's what she had said. There really are some differences between the different areas, and she does deal with people from all over the world. So I thought that was a pretty interesting point as well, also. And depending on how the alienation goes, it still means that children will come into their own, which means they come to their own conclusions, regardless of all the bad stuff that has been leveled at them. And I think that's a really good point, and it's reassuring and hope for a lot of parents who are being alienated. The children, you can't fool them. They're going to come around. It just takes a little bit of time as well.
Yes, I agree with that, Mick. That was a very good point. And I wanted to back up a little bit. She has two programs, one for women power and men power. And so I know we were talking about our relationships with our kids and how they come around, but there was ways that she counsels people through a divorce and alienation, and it might be a little bit different for men versus women. So I thought it was very interesting. She had two different programs she breaks down, and it's on her website. And the programs have different modulars, we'll call them, different sessions. And she talks about not just how to go through a divorce, but very specific things. And she has sessions on your relationships with your kids, maybe how to be a better co-parent, how to be a step parent when that comes about, right? Or if that comes about. So I thought that was very interesting too on how she broke that down. And I've never seen that before.
That was a good point. And when we had said, well, there are different modules depending on what your background is and your particular situation, and whether there's what gender you were talking about. So boys and girls have differences, the way that they're growing up, the age, obviously, we've talked about before on the show, and then different ways of saying, well, if you have a blended family, it's not going to be quite the same as others. So those are some really good points. One of the other things I want to address too, in terms of the healing, was the fact that, and we had chatted a little bit about this, what do you do? And there are normal things that you should do because you're going through an unusual situation. So what kinds of things can you do that would make you normal? And then everybody's got to do some sort of activity that gets them back and grounded. And this is something that reassures them that, yes, I'm not crazy. I am really normal. So in order to convince yourself in your heart that you are normal, you need to do normal things.
Yes. And just to expand on that a little bit, I want to give a couple of examples. You have to do something for yourself too. So not just that's normal, not getting up every morning, making your bed, which is a very good start. I'll never forget somebody told me when I read in a book, and then I was told at a conference, if you make your bed every morning, that is the way that you're starting your morning. That's how you're going to start the rest of your day. Make your bed, get organized. But not only that, but doing something for yourself. So whether it's reconnecting with old friends, which is something that I did, I reached out to friends that I haven't talked to in years and reconnected with them. She also suggested going to the gym, maybe changing jobs, maybe doing a huge clean out of your house, right? If you're still in the house and you haven't moved, start cleaning some things out that you don't need. And I even thought it was really interesting to me. She said, have a good cry. That's doing something for yourself. Have a good cry, and the shower is a good place to do it. And I can't tell you how many times I did that as well, Mick.
Yeah, and along the lines of finding people, I wanted to mention, because this is a thought that came to me as well, that you have to find the right people to support you, because what happens if you do have friends, and that's why reaching out to old friends is really good too, because sometimes the people that you're around all the time sort of tune you out. And I've seen this and heard this a number of times. Your friends and your family often say, you can't get past this. You're talking about the same thing all the time. And they get tired of hearing that. Well, that's because you are under such pressure and you're under such pain. You can't talk about other things often. And that's why you got to find the right support group and the right people. So reaching out to some people I haven't talked to in a while to kind of give them up to date, and then it's new and fresh to them. So I think finding the right support group is good. And one of the things that she pointed out, which should be obvious, but people need to keep this in mind: stay away from the artificial stimulants. No chemicals, no drugs, no alcohol, all of those things, because those things are definitely not going to help you, and they're readily available, but not good. Stay away from that stuff.
Yes, I will second that, Mick. I know sometimes that's our tendencies, right? As humans, is to just mask the pain. You need to live through the pain. You need to work through it. So even though, and we might make mistakes, right? We might turn to alcohol for a second, a night, a week, whatever it might be, because I know we're extremely depressed, but that's only going to make it more depressing for you because it's a depressant. So we want to make sure that we are doing things that are healthy for us. Not that we can't make mistakes, and we do, but it's how you recover from those.
And along the lines of then asking questions about how, when you're early in a relationship, what should you do? I thought that was an interesting point as well. And she made a comment that trust your gut, basically, that if you feel at some point early in a relationship, because we're sometimes looking for warning signals ahead of time, that if something in your gut is telling you about this individual that makes you feel uncomfortable, trust it, because that's generally a good idea that there's something wrong, and pay attention to that. And then likewise, questions of how do you move past this? So if you've been knowing someone, give it a year, which she said, at least a year, because you see them through various seasons and various times, and then even longer if there's children involved, because I think that's a really excellent point too, because as much as you're enamored with this new person in your life, you have to be a little bit careful before introducing children. So at least a year, but then she's even saying 18 months, because you have to keep in mind that you have small children or you have children involved, and their emotions are wrapped up in this as well too. So give it some time, don't rush, take your time, and give it the appropriate amount of space so that you can evaluate that person and really know them and truly are down deep as well.
Yeah, I had that note as well, Mick. I thought it was very interesting too that Leanne shared that she also went through a time of depression where she even had suicidal thoughts. And I want to make sure that we address that with people as well. And we bring that up as a point, because you might feel that way. But if you look at Leanne, she turned her life around and she created something positive out of it. So you don't need to stay where you feel so depressed. Get help.
And staying healthy is good, and it's really good. She had made the comment that in those relationships, that even maybe one session, seek out a professional, and you may need counseling, but at least one time. And that would be helpful as well too, because you want to be able to bounce off someone as a professional to explain something about the relationship and how it's going. And then they might be able to discern essentially if this is on the right track, because you said, well, okay, I made a mistake once or twice or what have you. So you want to be able to get some clarity on it. And that having that third party, that objective person, would be really helpful and really be able to get you past that point to say, is this real or is this not real? Then in terms also of moving closer, if this is the theme here, moving closer to someone, she made a point about not coupling just for finances, right? So get together for the right reasons. So a lot of people say, well, we'll save money, but that is not
Especially in a
justification.
divorce, right? Because
Yes.
you're definitely strapped as you're going through it. So that is a very good point, Mick. Don't just jump into a relationship to solve your financial issues.
And that would be the easy thing to do. And then because you're all, in the honeymoon stage, as we all call it, you meet somebody and say, hey, wouldn't this be great? And it'd be nice, because a lot of us do like to wake up with someone next to them in the morning. I understand that. And it's nice to have somebody that you can be next to when it's cold at night. So I get all that, but you really have to use the objective part of your mind and your rational part of your mind, so that you're able to really discern whether this is the true and a good relationship and a healthy relationship, which will help you get past the trauma that you had experienced previously.
Yes. And Mick, I have one last point, and
Okay.
I thought it was very interesting when she said, who is the boss in your family?
Oh, yeah.
So as the kids are transitioning through a divorce, don't let the kids be the boss in the family. Don't let them come in and drop your guard down and let them do, whatever, be the fun Disney parent, or as we had learned from Dr. Finneran before, the McDonald parent. Make sure you are establishing that you are the boss, because if you're not the boss, there's a problem.
Yeah, that was an excellent point, and I wanted to make sure I hit that one as well too. Spare the rod, spoil the child. I've read from a book of wisdom, and a lot of parents try to be a child's friend. And I think you have to make clear the distinctions that if you are a parent, you have to parent. You can't be the child's friend, and you have to take the chance that they may not like you, because I'll guarantee you there's going to be points where your children are not going to like you. You just have to deal with that. But that's a really good point as well too.
Well, it was so interesting talking to Lene, and I was so excited to have her on and expand our horizons into other countries.
That was phenomenal. So we're finding out that we say this is just an American problem, but no, it's actually an international problem, which means we're out there trying to help people. So if you have questions or things that you would like to find for the next guest or upcoming, call us, get in touch with us, theaftermathhealing@gmail.com, and look for another great episode, because we got more people coming, don't we, Kindra?
Yes, we do. Many more lined up. So we're excited to go into the holiday season.
And we're going to look forward to having maybe a holiday episode as well too. So thanks for being with us and listening, and hopefully this is helpful to you. Until next time, this is the Doctor of Digital signing off, and the legislative tiger Kindra. Until next time, the aftermath. We'll see you. Take care. Deus Vult.